Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Inner Lens. This is episode 52. Today is June 24th, 2025. We have the usual suspects here in our conversation. Say hello, friends. Brett, Gabby, Alec. And so we're sticking on this thing of National Day of dot 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 and this day in history dot dot dot. So National Day of. So for June 24th today is National Patch Day, like a patch that you sew onto a piece of clothing or something. We have National Pralines Day, which yummy. I like pralines and ice cream. Like it's that caramelly, yummy kind of. That's my vibe. I like it. And then we have National Take Back the Lunch Break Day. Hashtag Take Back Lunch is what's going on. So apparently, in the corporate world, productivity and all of that corporate thinking is work, 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 push, 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 always, always, always on the clock kind of thing. And there's this movement going around that we're taking back lunch, which means get up, get the hell up away from your computer, get away from your desk, go smell some air, go eat some food, go sit with some coworkers or not. Just sit by yourself. Do anything other than sitting and eating lunch in front of your computer. I'm all about it. I think I'm going to go into work on Monday and say hashtag take back lunch, like a little flag, even though my job doesn't really, the vibe isn't like that. People go. I suffer from this myself personally, where I'll sit and eat lunch in front of a computer, possibly a lot of the time. So I find it interesting that we have a national take back the lunch break day. Any thoughts on this, people?
I think it's important to have the lunch breaks. First of all, for health reasons, right? It's good to get up from the computer, move around, stretch. Secondly, eating at a desk while you're still working, and I used to do that. I would have a sandwich, and then if the phones were going mad, I would answer the phone while eating my sandwich. I mean, this is not good for the stomach. I got heartburn, wonder why. Right? I started at a time, not a healthy thing to do physically. Secondly, and Brett, you mentioned that in an earlier episode, how we sometimes spend far much time at work than with our families. So I
Mm-hmm.
think to go for lunch with coworkers and actually forge a little bit of friendships, it's gone out of fashion. In the old days, I remember your workplace was really important, right? You would even spend time outside work with your coworkers. Somebody might put on a barbecue in summer and invite you over. And there was this social aspect to work, which was really nice because you connected with people, you built a community there. While Erica, you said it really nice. Now it's all about being productive, right? And how often did I hear people suddenly say, "Oh no, you can't be friends with your coworkers"? Why not? I think it's a horrible idea to be at work, whatever hours you spend every week there, and not knowing anything about your coworkers, not being friends, because we cannot leave our private life outside the door. It's not that something goes on in our lives and then we step through that door and we can forget about everything for the next 8 hours. If we are worried about some a loved one being sick, we cannot just leave that out the door. So to have some friends in work who actually understands you and say, "What's up with you? What's going on? Oh, so and so is sick. I'm really worried." It brings this humanity back into work. We're not robots.
Mm. And it strikes me that one of the reasons, and I'm not saying this is your idea, Erica, but you mentioned it, is productivity. But I think we are much more productive when we're rested, when we're well fed, hydrated, etc. There was this whole fallacy about we can't have people working from home because they won't be productive. And then we were forced to all work from home. And guess what? Actually, things went up a bit because people are not lazy and they will think, I didn't finish that. And they will go and do it at home even later than, again, is healthy. And I'm not encouraging that at all. But this belief that we will be more productive if we're nose to the grindstone and work, work, work is wrong. It is proven wrong, and getting up and going stretching your legs and getting a drink and being hydrated and stepping away from the machine and having a break and letting the mind switch off, you come back refreshed and possibly even remember things that you were going to have forgotten if you just carried on filing, doing whatever it is you do. Um, there's there's nothing that supports it being beneficial to remain at your desk all day.
No. And anyone who's ever seen the movie The Shining knows very well that all work and no play does nothing good for anybody. So let me just read this quickly, what this little thing says, where we found this. It said, according to a 2017 study commissioned by Torque, which is an Essity brand, I'm not sure what that is, but employees who take lunch breaks are more likely to report being efficient at work and satisfied with their jobs. The survey reveals that nearly 90% of employees consider the ability to take lunch break critical when accepting a new job. However, once they are on the job, the average lunch break is less than 30 minutes for more than half of North American workers. Barely enough time to purchase a meal, let alone enjoy it. That is why Torque created this National Take Back Lunch Break Day to improve workplace morale, satisfaction, and productivity across North America. So that's where it came to be. I understand it, but I will speak from my own. There are times where, some coworker, I don't normally, I think Gabby said, there's no reason why you can't be friends with your coworkers. That is also a choice, right? Do I want to be friends with my coworkers? I have the free will to decide if I actually want that to happen. But for those small groups of people that you want to consider friends, also coworkers, if you go out with them, my personal experience is sometimes the reverse effect happens to me. It's like, I'll take a lunch break and then I'll get back to work and I'm like, I should have never done that because now I have to get back into the swing of wanting to work. It sort of breaks my momentum sometimes that I feel, personally speaking, and I don't, if I'm feeling it, there might be other people out there that don't take lunch break because of that. It's like sort of gets in the way of the momentum that I build in the morning leading up to lunch. When I actually take the break, now I have to come back and like find that spot where I was before, and I'm less inclined to want to do that, especially if it's a nice day out. I definitely don't want to come back in.
I want to ask the inner lenses version of Clint Eastwood's Quiet Man, not about his mule, but Brett, you said something before we actually hit record about lunch and your take on it. So, do you want to share?
Um, I forgot what I said. I'd rather not take the lunch and go home early and be doing my what I want to do for my day. And like Erica was just saying, there's something about it works out in favor of the company because when you're getting stuff done, the pace just gets better, 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 and you start really rocking and rolling. You take that lunch break, then you come back in, you're like, all right, where was I? And now you got to pick back up. Where were you? Where's this one? Oh, I ate something that doesn't agree with me now. Oh my, it's everything is in the way. It's, I think it's a good thing, right? To have your lunch, no doubt. And if somebody's hungry, we'll definitely take our lunch. But I think it's like, let's go home. Let's go enjoy our day. Let's get this thing done, rock and roll, get it out, done, out of the way, and let's go about our day. And to have uh, more of a community within a job, like friends with your workers, I think is good because there's certain things you want to highlight or know about somebody so you can support them. That they don't have to go through something alone while they're at work, and you want to know why things are going bad or why um, stuff's not getting done right. Well, maybe if you paid attention to what was going on for that one individual, and you just checked in, that could actually help them and drive them back into more of a focused because they got something off of their chest a little bit. So there's kind of a balance in there, and it's actually caring about each other, and it's not about just the job. Like we're human, and we need to take note that we are human, and sometimes there's good days and there's bad days, and let's care about each other. I mean, my God, when I'm going through something, I would love somebody to ask me like, "Hey, everything all right?" And be able to just actually say, you know what? No, it's not all right. I don't want to talk about it, but I will say this, and at least give me that space. So I think that's healthy.
It's not lost on me that our two Americans are like highlighting the community and relational aspect, but have I mean, I thought in this episode we were reclaiming lunch, but you're both saying through lunch, um, I want to stay in my zone and I want to go home early. So are we supporting lunch? I need to know
Well,
what my
so
hashtag is in favour of.
well, the hashtag is take back lunch because I think everybody needs a break, whatever that looks like for them. What I'm saying for me personally, because Brett and I work in different fields, right? He's sometimes in a different place. His lunch is much different than mine, the way it looks for me. I don't get to go home early, whether I take lunch or not. So there is no, let's take a short lunch or no lunch and we get out an hour earlier. If I'm just screwing myself if I don't. So for me, it's it's a personal thing because sometimes my momentum gets thrown off if I do take the break, and then I'm just like whatever, I have to struggle to get back sometimes, not every time, but I definitely am in favor of breaks. Like you should have breaks throughout the day. You should be able to go out. And once the weather gets nice, what you see in a lot of corporate America is not so much people going to eat a meal, because I can definitely speak to that. Sometimes I don't like eating in the middle of the day either, because if my stomach doesn't feel right, or then I'm instantly wanting to take a nap after I eat. And it's like, this can't happen. I don't take naps at work, so I can't actually do that. So it sometimes can get in the way, but I would opt for like maybe a smoothie or a quicker kind of something to nourish my body, but go take a walk instead because of the sedentary nature of my job, different than what Brett does. He's more physical, he's manual labor, kind of tradesman. I sit all day. So getting up is definitely healthier, better, encouraged. Hashtag take back lunch. Definitely. The hashtag can remain
If you're
what it is.
if you're taking lunch, but you're clocking out for your lunch, but you're still doing work. That part I don't understand. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take lunch, but you're still doing work because you're in the zone. Well, I don't get that. Like now, if I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna sit down, and I'm gonna socialize with my coworkers or whatever it may be, because there's that piece of community. Like we in the trades, we can get a lot of work done and actually have a conversation. So there is like that whole keeping up with each other and getting a lot of work done. It actually helps the work go because you can laugh, giggle, and it can get you out of maybe what you thought was a bad day, right? And just talking to somebody, giggling about it, and just banging out work, or just getting into the work itself and enjoying the work if that's what you enjoy. And I do enjoy what I do, so that's not it's not a bad thing. But I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, I took lunch, not take lunch, and like at least I'm going home for what I should have taken my lunch. I'm leaving that much early at the minimum.
I think it's important to understand and highlight that Brett is entirely more social than I am, so he might look to sit with coworkers where I do not look to do that. So I would rather go for a walk by myself, listening to a podcast or just listening to a book, and do that.
But that's okay. That's still taking a break. And I think you're highlighting something here because it depends on not only what we prefer, but also on our type of job we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was nursing, I was on my feet all day long and we were running from room to room. And if you had another nurse with you, because of the nature of what you were doing, you had chats while you were going into the next room. It was more social. You got to know your coworker much, much better, right? And when we took a break, it was really get off the feet. We were tired. Maybe a cup of coffee, tea to perk you up again and go, right? And we would eat something really small to keep going, so we weren't tired. But then when I worked in an office environment, where at the time it was all phone, right? I worked for a sports company. We organized, we were a tour operator for sports. So if the rugby team got into a semi-final, I used to call it telephone terrorism, because the phones would go off a quarter of an hour before we even opened. And then when we had loads to organize, the phones switched off at 6 o'clock. And I would stay longer to get actually everything done, which I was talking to all day to clients about. They organize their extra work to get the trip organized. And sometimes the phones were still ringing until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock before I left the office. And it was this constant. It was literally terrorism. Your brain got fried just from the ringtone all day long, constantly, and people talking, and it was an open office, the noise level. So I made a mistake to actually have a quick sandwich while I was still at it, because we were busy, and the exhaustion, it was so unhealthy. If I think about it now, completely insane to do that. And in that environment, you need to get up and get out, even if it's half an hour of fresh air, just to even clear your head. So I think it really very much depends on the circumstances you're in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you
It's
could
funny.
and you could tell, because we all did it. And guess a week into organizing the next semi-final, everybody got tired. Everybody was exhausted doing this. And guess what happened to the atmosphere in the office? People got snappy,
Mhm.
right? Because they were tired, and this little thing that started really, really unhealthy.
It's funny that you mention your time nursing, because I was sitting here and thinking that the hardest I think I ever worked was within the emergency department. I was there as a paramedic practitioner, and your breaks were unpaid, so and you got 3/4 of an hour in what worked out really to be a 14-hour shift, because you've got to be there so the off-going shift can go. And you might get your first break, your 30-minute break, because they've got to rotate the whole staff. You might get that 3 hours into your shift, and then you don't get your 15 minutes until 2 hours before you go off. And most of the time you take it alone, because they're trying to minimize the amount of people that are away from the ward. And when I was in frontline ambulance, they would call you up and they would say, "Are you tracking here?" So they would be looking to see where you were. Yeah, good. There's a lay-by about 3/4 of a mile ahead. Go in there for your mandatory break. So they wouldn't even return you to a place where you could use the bathroom, stop and get food. I mean, some of them would say, there's a service station coming up, you can stop and get some food. It wasn't unusual to be 8 or 9 hours into your shift and having had no break at all. So, you're throwing a 5-ton ambulance around on blue lights, squeezing through gaps, and you test your blood sugars, and, you're below minimum. You would be treatable with glucose and things. And you're having to radio them up and say, "We are not fit to, well, you've had your break, you just carry on, tough." And the pressure of that, and you're talking about both Erica and Brett. You mentioned you eating your food and having, even Gabby, you mentioned indigestion as well. It's it's just like a, a part of life that should not be rushed. One of on my embodiment course, we all think of BMI as like that figure where you're so tall and your weight is X and it means you're healthy or not. The guy Mark Walsh, he says BMI is be more Italian, do everything more laid back, just take more time over a coffee. And yeah, I know that my experience of those really intense environments was so unhealthy for so many reasons, and just having a break in a social environment would have made those jobs so much easier to handle. Um, and I don't look back on them with particularly fond memories. Like, yes,
Mm.
you so close to some of your workmates, but it was trench mentality. It was being forced to bond through exposure to really inhospitable conditions.
It's like the
Yeah,
front
Oh,
lines
yeah,
of a
yeah,
war. That's what it feels
yeah.
like.
And you know what? You really pick up also really stupid habits because when we were pressurized, and even in nursing, because when we sat down, were supposed to take half an hour. You ate really quickly because you knew something probably is going to happen and you have to go early. So you got into a habit to stuff down the food in 10 minutes. And I really had to roll myself back privately to actually sit down and eat the food in a slow, healthy way and pace. Because it was like, we have to go quick, 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 and then tea and out again, right? That was the lunch break. It was completely if I think about it now, it's a nightmare. An absolute
Yeah.
nightmare.
I can't even eat that fast, so it's not an option for me. Like I just physically, my body does not work that way. So when I'm thinking about this hashtag taking back lunch, right? It's what it feels like for me. What it would look, it looks more like movement as opposed to eating, right? Like for me,
Yeah.
a lunch break isn't about I need a full meal. Like I prefer not to even eat that much. It just would be like an apple as I'm walking. Like it's just something to nourish, but getting outside and getting the sunshine is more
Mm.
nourishment for me than eating a full meal in the middle of the day. I can't do it. Don't want to do it. Doesn't make me feel good. But the fresh air and the sunshine and listening to a bird or two might do wonders for me in the middle of a day. Being closed into an office where there's recycled air and people getting catty and the phone's ringing and the constant noise of your inbox going off need to remove from that a little bit.
Maybe we should need to rephrase it. Instead of saying taking the lunch break back, maybe we should say hashtag taking stress-free moments back
Okay.
in work. Literally, where you get this half an hour where you can relax, breathe, slow down the brain again, recharge, whatever it looks like for you. If it's a walk, it's a walk. You know what I mean? So instead of lunch break, stress-free break.
yeah.
I'm
I
just
mean,
naming.
wings. Sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
on.
Nope. Go.
I know for some of us this won't work. Hashtag shoe build, whatever it was called, but within the embodiment sphere, wings, water, and walking are like our three mainstays of returning to a regulated nervous system. You know, if you can listen to birds, maybe see some on the water, or be close to a walk with water, it does wonders for your well-being. So, yeah, maybe we should hashtag wings, walk, and water.
I just did. I named this whole episode, as you'll see, hashtag take back lunch, hashtag take back stress free time, hashtag regulate at work, hashtag wings, water, walking, hashtag BMI, which stands for be more Italian.
Be more Italian, yeah.
I love it. And when you said that, I'm instantly like, be more Italian. I could totally do that. Am I going to be drinking wine and eating pasta while I'm doing this? Because I'm in. Sign me up. I can do this.
Don't they go home in Italy for lunch?
I don't
Doesn't
know.
everybody shut down or
I
something
don't
like
know.
that?
I mean, I know that obviously we're probably all aware that in hotter cultures, siesta is a big part of their day. I mean, Erica, we know, subscriber, Erica used to receive regular advice when confronted with corporate America to just take a nap under her desk. We know this is not going to happen. So, being able to to leave the office is one thing. Being able to get outside into a place that calms would be great. I don't think we're ever going to start seeing
Mm.
hammocks here.
And
Hashtag
while we
who
are,
does that? Who the fuck does that at work anyway? I'm going to say it. Nobody's taking naps under their desk without getting fired. Get the fuck out of here.
yeah.
Sorry.
Besides, by the way, it's really interesting because when I worked in the tourism industry, I would work with Spain and Italy. And Siesta obviously comes from Spain. And
Mhm.
my Spanish colleagues really suffered because the siesta is going there as well. We talked about productivity earlier. This is there now in Spain as well. And my colleagues who worked in tourism were not able to take siestas anymore. And we're talking about a country in summer when tourist season is on and it was busy of like 40 degrees sitting at your desk in the middle of the day. You cannot go like the tourists to the beach and take a swim. You're working. You have to go around the place and you sit there. And they were really at the end of the tethers because they couldn't take siestas anymore. They had to work in that heat. True, with no lunch break. So it's sneaking in there as well, and the siestas are going out the door, which was a really healthy thing to do in a hot country. That's why they have siestas because of the heat, and it's slowly going. It's eroded because they're working globally. They're working with North Europe or whatever, and they're expected to be there and answer their phones. It's not accepted anymore that they leave work at 1 o'clock and come back at 3 after a good snooze. Right?
And it was a common phrase, and we're not going like on globalization and empire building, but mad dogs and Englishmen were the only two things that went out in the noonday sun, and
Yeah.
it was recognized. You just don't do it unless you're an insane Englishman or a dog with some mental health problem.
That's the perfect day, right? Like to be able to work hours of like 7 a.m. to noon, right? Like 7 a.m. to noon working, and then be able to do whatever you do in the height of the midday, right? You have lunch, you go sit in your pool, you go take a nap, you go do whatever it is, and then you come back to work, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 or something. I don't know, whatever it is you need to do. I'm of the belief that there should not be any structured work hours. I'm of the belief this is what I have to get done today. If I can get it done in this amount of time, good on me. If it takes me all fucking day to do it, I have to do what I have to do. But I should just have, this is what I'm expected to get done today, and I'm done with it. So now my day should be mine. That's the way I think life should work.
Didn't didn't they try it out in one Scandinavian country where they said, well, this is the amount of work you have to do this week. So whenever you get it done, get it done.
I don't
And
know.
there's
How did
no
it go?
structure work hours anymore. And they figured out that people get even more done because they're motivated. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
if I get my work done and dusted, I can go at 3 o'clock and pick up my kids from school, and there's no issue how to do
Yep,
that. And people get the
totally.
same amount of work done in a fraction of the time because also, if you think about it, we only can concentrate for so long,
Mm-hmm.
right? Highly focused. So we can do that for a few hours, and as longer the day goes on, I mean, you still do work, but it gets slower and slower and slower because you get tired, you get cross-eyed, you looked into the computer all day, you have to double check what you just did. If you have flexible days, you probably get stuff done much quicker because you can take those breaks, you come back, you can concentrate again, you can focus
Yep,
again.
I agree
And
with
you,
that. Do we know the science behind that? Actually, how many hours it is that somebody can sustain high intensity focus? I'm
they
just
say
curious
40
because this
minutes
would
and then you
explain a lot.
yeah, they say
40
40 minutes,
minutes?
then you need at least a small break before you can start again. That's the theory, I think.
Holy shit. No wonder I'm constantly feeling like I'm in brain fog because I'm focusing for long amounts of time. And then I get to the point where I'm like, I can't even think about anything right now. So for those of you out there who might be experiencing that and convinced that you have a disorder or there's something wrong with your brain or you have early onset something, that is not true. It's just if you're sustaining focus for a really long amount of time and then can't seem to tap into that longer than that, there's a reason for this. Yeah, I feel better. At least I know that I'm
Yeah.
not broken. There's something not wrong with me. I just am focusing for as long as I can physically.
I mean, you can train concentration and things, but there is always a peak, and then there is always a point where it erodes, and normally that erodes at an exponential rate and deteriorates to a point where even average levels of focus and concentration can't be achieved because you've maxed out on it. And you recognizing that and allowing people some autonomy in saying, do you know what, I'm burnt for this period, would do so much more than, like Erica's saying, people who push and push because they start to feel that, you know, they're in the wrong, they're bad, they're ill, they're broken, and those will all lead to burnout, like proper burnout, where someone is unable to function at all, possibly
Mm.
for months on end. Whereas just allowing people to get back into that kind of regulated state, you know, because at the root of all this is the autonomic nervous system, you know, being triggered into a state where our brain, our wiring thinks that we are avoiding danger. And if we
Mm.
don't give it the break to ease
Yeah.
itself into playfulness, then we that's burnout on its way to us, you know?
And if you think about it, it's actually glorified to work long hours and it's
Mm-hmm.
glorified. I mean, if I hear people say, ah, look at the entrepreneurs, they only sleep 4 hours a night and look how they keep going. Yeah, guess why? It's an open secret that all the entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley are microdosing on cocaine. They're all microdosing on cocaine. That's why they can sleep for 4 hours, because nobody can live on 4 hours for 10 years. It's impossible and work really hard. And it's an open secret that we know they're all doing it. So we're actually glorifying people taking cocaine so they can only sleep 4 hours a night. I mean, what? Seriously?
Yeah. I mean, how many adverts are there for things like with high caffeine levels? You know, take your Pro Plus, drink your whatever drink.
Red
I'm not
Bull.
going to advertise any
Red
of
Bull
them.
I will.
Monster.
Red Bull.
Red Bull
Well,
give you wings.
Woo!
have some vodka in it, and
Yeah.
it's more than that. Do you
Yes,
know
it
if you
does.
mix tequila, vodka, and Red Bull, um, called a TVR commonly, it does exactly the same as cocaine. It's called liquid cocaine, and it. I don't drink anymore. This is one of the reasons, TVRs. But you know, anything that we do that chemically alters us, or you know, and that we do for the benefit of someone else. You know, if you want to rub some cocaine in areas of the body to prolong things in the privacy of your own home with your loved one, then that's one thing. But to be like chemically altering ourselves and making our bodies function to a point of breaking for the benefit of an organization or a company or whatever else has got to be a definition of insanity, because if you break and are gone from that institution, you will be replaced like that. You are not that valuable, you know.
I'm
As Mark
offended.
Walsh, says, you're not that fucking special.
Totally offended by that statement.
Yeah, he's a very offensive person, but we're not, are we? We are not in, other than us, you know, our loved ones here in this community and our subscriber. Nobody else gives a shit about us, basically, unless we give a shit about ourselves. So taking back our lunch break or our hashtag feed the swans or whatever else we've got going on, you know, if not us, then who? And if not now, as a
Now,
result of watching this,
then
well,
when? Yeah, amen,
Yeah.
brother. I won't be
Yeah.
feeding swans though, because they have large wings and they're scary to
And
me.
you don't like birds. Feed
I
the
don't get
fish.
too close
Feed
to
the
them.
fish.
I said,
this thing, this is one of those, we talked earlier about passed on things. How many times have I heard like a child running towards the swans, so excited to see them because they're tame as anything, and you hear some screechy woman whose name is probably Chablis or Chardonnay or something going, "Don't go near the swan; they can kill you with a single peck of their beak."
I fully
Seriously,
believe that.
I have, I have, I have stood amongst swans and stroked their backs and not had my arm broken.
Let me
Um,
tell you something. We live across the street from a beautiful park, and there part of the park there is big, beautiful body of water. You can rent a boat. You can go rowboating.
find many dead children there.
No, but now that I'm going to be on the lookout, I mean, I hope not. But there is the body of water full of beautiful swans, right, Brett? They're beautiful. It's nice. You get in a rowboat, those fuckers are on top of that boat looking for bread. They'll climb in that damn boat if you let them. And I'm like, yo, step back. I cannot. I throw the bread as far away as I can so they go off away from the damn boat. They could kill you with one peck of their beak. I don't care what you say. They're nice to look at, though. They are majestic and beautiful and all of that, blah, blah, blah. But I don't want them in my rowboat. I just don't.
Okay.
Anyway,
Does anybody have anything that they would like to share with subscribers who might want to take back their peaceful moment?
do it. That's what I want to share. Don't think about it. Just do it. You are entitled. You deserve it. And it is your right as a human being to breathe the fresh air and feel the sunshine and have a moment in your day.
Hashtag Nike.
Just do it. I'm going to put
Gabby,
that.
closing thoughts.
I think I'm just grateful that I out of corporate world and I'm doing what I'm doing and I can take all the breaks I need.
This is the lady currently working 80 hours a week in
Right.
semi-retirement.
Yeah. But I could do it. I feel still privileged because it's my choice.
I mean, I don't want you to incriminate yourself, Gabby, but are you microdosing? Is there a lot of cocaine going on in the Cheshlock household?
Or are you putting it on
No.
certain body parts, like Alex said? I mean, apparently you could do that too. That's a bonus episode, people. We'll talk
Yeah,
about that.
we're not encouraging the use of that,
No,
by the way.
no.
Yeah. No, I actually take an awful lot of breaks, I must admit. And I have very slow mornings because, yeah, I just like a slow morning.
Slow mornings sound like such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Slow, leisurely mornings.
I started work at 17 and I when I went self-employed, the one promise I did, having the alarm clock going, jump out of bed, into shower, clothes on, and quick cup of tea and out to work. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I take it slow. I have a nice breakfast in peace and quiet and take my time and then I start my day.
I'm thinking about that concept, and seriously, like my nervous system is like doesn't even know how to even interpret that. It's like what is this we speaking of? This slow morning and la la la. I don't know if I'd even be able to do it. Would really be like a slow integration back into the world of slow, easy morning. It feels so foreign to me. I don't know what it would feel like, or if I could even do it. That's how crazy that is.
You can definitely do it.
Thank you for the support. All right, let's try.
I mean, you can't do it within your current circumstances. I think we probably have established this in previous episodes and conversations, but yeah. And little things, Gabby's ritual. I now always write in fountain pen and I write in purple ink because my entire working life, it was all biro. Incidentally, we had the anniversary of the biro being patented recently. And black ink because it had to be for legal purposes. Apparently, black is the legal
It
colour of
is.
ink.
It is.
What a crock of shit. Black
It
is the
is.
legal colour of ink.
It is. It's the only. It's if you're signing an official document, they want it in black ink.
That
When I
is
notarize, I can only do it in black.
racist. Other inks matter. And I have a lovely
Black ink matters though.
a royal purple. So there's another episode waiting to happen. How did we give the middle finger to our corporate lives? Mine is purple ink. Gabby's is a leisurely morning. Erica is in free fall. Give the finger to corporate America. It'll chew it off and spit it back in my face.
FYI, I hate writing in black ink. I only do it when I have to. Blue is my preferred color. Just if we're taking notes here about color of ink.
Brett, what's your middle finger to the sun? No, we are on. What are we even on? What's this episode about? Taking back lunch.
Take back lunch.
Taking back.
I'm happy with taking it when I need it, and really happy with having a say in how my day goes. Right, and it's a consensus on the job. Like we'll all make that choice together. Like, hey, we doing lunch today? I'd rather get out. All right, cool. Everybody good with that? If one person says, "No, I'd rather take lunch," then we take lunch. So, but
Yeah,
and it depends. We usually eat before we get there, so
yeah,
everybody's good.
Cool.
So yeah,
Cool.
Well, thank you, everybody, both conversationalists and those that engaged with this riot of 42 minutes worth of what could we do with half an hour of our day.
I would like our subscribers to let us know what this episode was about, if they can figure it out.
I'm suddenly remembering a story that I'm not sure I could share, but want to share, but maybe I'll do it off air.
Oh, that's a cliffhanger.
And we will see you in a space much like this one. I've just realised, we're talking about taking our days back, and we've sat here for 2.5 hours. My butt aches almost as much as my jaw from laughing, but yes, it's time to say goodbye for now, dear listener.
See you soon.
Bye.